Alright guys, in this video we're going to be installing the TEENSY 2.0, and that's this guy right here. It's pretty small. You want to install them with the USB connector facing to the left on the right hand PCB, because that's the side it's drawn on. Remember to install components on the side they're drawn on. The version I bought came with the headers not soldered on, because this is a soldering project and I want to solder, so I figured let me buy the one without the headers. So you have to solder the headers first, install them with the long pin down, short pin up onto the outside of this box. You will have to cut the headers. They come with 2 additional pins. I'll show you right here. I bought 3 of them in case I messed up cutting one of them. So this is how they initially come, which actually fits into the I/O expanders pins, and you just want to make sure to cut 2 off and not install them into the I/O expander, because then you will have to desolder them and put them in correctly. Then after those are soldered on, you just drop the TEENSY on top and it sits like that, and you solder those pins accordingly. Okay, now to solder this, you have to hold the bottom of the headers because they will fall. These pins are pretty thick, they're not easy to bend, and you'll probably do damage to the pin. So these are going to be soldered straight on. So with one hand I'm holding the pin on the bottom, the other hand I'm going to put a little bit of solder on my tip and try to get enough solder onto one of the pins to hold it in place. Like so. That one doesn't have to be perfect, I just want it to hold everything in place, and then I'll go through starting from this side, working my way back and clean that other joint up. Looks good from here. So these are a little thicker, so make sure to have enough heat on your iron. Now that bridge, we'll clean that up in a minute. Solder bridges are going to happen sometimes. You also want to be careful how long you're applying heat. You don't want to melt the plastic that holds these pins together. So don't leave it on there too long. Alright, everything is sticking to my tip. Alright, we're gonna have to get some solder wick for that one. Doesn't want to play nice. We bridge the other one. Starting to wonder if I should use my other tip, because this tip is kind of big, or if I had thinner solder. Alright, there we go. Those are cleaned up. Let's go back and fix this one on the end. good. This one could use some more over here. Good. Okay, now we're going to solder the other headers on. I'm holding them with my left hand, just like the last time, hanging onto the board, and my thumb is hanging onto the solder tube. I'm going to put some solder on the tip of the iron and try to get it on this pin to hold it in place. And I can feel the heat on my hand. There we go. Let it set and then release. Now the pins are being held in place. I can solder the rest. And we'll come back and clean that one up just like last time. That last one's a little thick, so I'm going to take a little off. I'll have to redo it. Alright, those pins are soldered. Now all that brown flux we're going to clean off later with 99% rubbing alcohol. So that'll clean up nice. Okay, now we need to install the teensy on top of the pins. Now if the pins aren't aligned that nice, you might have to push a little bit. Do not force. A little pressure. And there it goes. Okay. The alternative is you can solder using a third hand or a helping hand. Everything onto the teensy, holding it with these little alligator clips. And that would actually keep the pins aligned properly so that when you went to put on the board, you would just have to hold the board and then you could solder everything. It's pretty much your personal preference. I figured it'll be easier this way than risk damaging the traces or other components on the board with the alligator clips. So that's why I did it this way. Now we're going to go ahead and solder. My phone alarm was going off. That's really creepy, soldering so close to that surface mount component there. One wrong move, and you fuck it up pretty bad. I'm going to try to reflow and clean some of these up. They pulled, as I pulled away, it wanted to go with my iron. I don't really care for how that looks. Alright. That guy is now done.